man. This big Oscar daughter Hebrew every way, man. Let's do it, man. Shout out to Yahweh, that's my guy, you know he paved the way. I'ma get it kicking like I'm Rock Lee in the anime. Verses hitting harder than this 808. Prophets in the trenches, bring the truth, you know they love to hate. Numbers going up, now they asking, hey, what it takes. Grinding through the struggle, follow Christ. Now I elevate, spirit in my verses. Every line, you know I demonstrate. Kingdom on my mind, ain't got time, cannot hesitate. I'ma choose the Bible over you. I'ma wear my tassels all the way down to my shoes. Yeah, I'm with the gang. Outside with the bruise. He may be Superman, but baby, I'm a super brew. This is what I do. I'ma choose the Bible over you. I'ma wear my tassels all the way down to my shoes. Yeah, I'm with the gang. Outside with the bruise. He may be Superman, but baby, I'm a super brew. This is what I do. Second Exodus, you ain't know. This would be a sequel. Tryna wake them up, free their mind. I'm tryna lead my people outside on the corner, yelling out, screaming, we not equal. Right. Ears were going viral. Now they look because they know we leak. In the kingdom, drip down, covered in Cuban links. Diamonds hit a little different. Ice dance when I blink. Let's do it. Passover going crazy. Kingdom really getting lit. Big brews and designer. Real bottles in the pit. I'ma choose the Bible over you. I'ma wear my tassels all the way down to my shoes. Yeah, I'm with the gang. Outside with the bruise. He may be Superman, but baby, I'm a super brew. This is what I do. I'ma choose the Bible over you. I'ma wear my tassels all the way down to my shoes. Yeah, I'm with the gang. Outside with the bruise. He may be Superman, but baby, I'm a super brew. This is what I do.
All right. Shalom to the chat. Shalom to all the brothers watching, all the sisters watching, all the families watching. Shalom. This is Jeshurun, Space City, back at it. We got a powerful class, a powerful lesson here today. Hopefully brothers get edified. The brother Yadi is going to join us a little bit later into the presentation. So first I want to start by giving all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High God, Yahweh. And we do so in the name of his begotten son, Yahweh Shamashiach. He was indeed a black man. So that's today, right. We got some information to share, right? If you see the title is You've Been Keeping the Sabbath Wrong. The new moon is not the Sabbath, right? So before we get into it, a little bit of history on how all this came about. So if you guys remember last year, the brothers from Believers of the Way and the brothers from Genesis had a debate over the lunar Sabbath versus the Friday-Saturday Sabbath, right? So after that debate, brothers started to look into how to refine the doctrine even more to prove that the lunar Shabbat is the, in fact, true Shabbat. And we came across some interesting stuff, right? The information that you guys are about to see, right? This is something that we presented to the brothers at Genesis. The brothers at Genesis, the first thing that they asked when this information was presented was, how is this going to help us win a debate? From there, it just went downhill, right? The brothers didn't feel like this is something that is debate worthy, so they didn't look into the information at all. So here we are, right? So if you didn't catch our Pentecost breakdown, go watch our Pentecost breakdown. We got a breakdown on Pentecost on Space City, Jeshurun's YouTube page. That video flows directly into this video. Directly, right? So if you didn't catch that, make sure you go to Space City Jeshurun's page and watch the Pentecost breakdown. Oz, you want to anything you want to say or introduce yourself?
What's going on, y'all? This is Deacon Oz Gadar, man, the deacon of the new Jeshurun cramp that we have. Just to let y'all know, if y'all like the song in the beginning, that song is called Super Brew. That is out on all platforms. That is a song I made. And if you want to, tap in with our music, we have a YouTube page called Space City Records. And we dropped a new album called Space City Boys. So tap in with us, man. If y'all love the music and y'all like the wave. And like my brother said, bro, we came to bring out some great edification on the new moon, because there's some things that even as lunar Shabbat keepers that we need to correct. And there's things that's just not right. So without further ado, I'm gonna let my brother Dawala bring out his presentation and bring it out.
Khan, Matar, go ahead and introduce yourself as well. Brothers might not be familiar with who you are.
Shalom to all y'all family members, all the Akim. I want to say my name is Matar Tazarab. I'm the captain here at Jeshurun, so I'm here to help edify the nation. You know what I mean? So let's go on and get into it.
Let me build it up. All right. So today, hey, we're gonna go over the biblical feast cycle as well as the calendar alignment, right? So we're gonna touch on first fruits, we're gonna touch on Pentecost count, we're gonna touch on the lunar Sabbath, and yes, we are going to explain transitional days. I think this might be the first breakdown video fully explaining the quote unquote transitional days, right? Let's get into it. First of all, a disclaimer. Matar, if you can read the disclaimer, please.
Khan. All right, the disclaimer. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight truth, encourage biblical discussion, clear misunderstandings, and raise awareness of what the Bible, history, and archaeology agree on. The presentation is not to smear or belittle any congregation and is given in the utmost spirit of love through our King and Messiah, Yahweh Shai, while giving all praises to the Most High God, Yahweh.
Khan, right? And I just want to emphasize, right? So this presentation is not meant to belittle any camps, belittle any understanding, or just try to antagonize any camp or any other brother, right? If we are students of the truth, then we need to accept truth when truth is presented and given, right? So the purpose of this is just to spread out just the truth, man, because one thing that as we grow older in this walk now, and it's been some years in different camps, a lot of people take the camp doctrine at face value and they run with it. Right or wrong, monkey see, monkey do. And we can't be like that, man. All the stuff that's going on in the world is 2026. We cannot be stuck in old breakdowns, and we cannot be reluctant to update our doctrine. We can't do that, right? The scriptures say knowledge will increase in the last days, and we are watching it before our eyes. Okay. So let us move on. So like I said, if you did not catch our Pentecost breakdown, you need to go watch that Pentecost breakdown. It's the video titled, Why is your Pentecost, this is why your Pentecost is off, Genesis Rebuke. Because like I said, we definitely presented this information to these brothers, and we showed them emphatically that the Pentecost count is not 100 days. So to my lunar Sabbath brothers, I'll say that again. The Pentecost count is not 100 days. I know that's what we've been taught, but when you go through the scriptures, when you go through the historical documents and sources, it just does not align. There is no source that says Pentecost, the count to Pentecost is 100 days. And if you want the full breakdown, this is the video to go watch that, right? So we are going to briefly recap that video just to hit some highlight points, because like I said, Pentecost is the key to how the Sabbath works. Why is that? Because you have to count Sabbaths to get your Pentecost count. So whatever is the correct way that you are supposed to count Pentecost, that is the correct way all of your Sabbaths should flow. Right. So Matar, go ahead and read the slide, please.
So 7 weeks or 50 days after the Feast of Unleavened Bread would be month 3. 50 days or 7 weeks from month 1 would place you in month 3, the day after the 7th Sabbath. Let's look at the text. Leviticus 23, 15 and 16 KJV. Verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Verse 16. Even unto the morrow after 7 Sabbaths shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. Now, the KJV is making it harder to understand than what it is. Let's go to the highlight area. This is James D.G. Dunn and John Rogerson. The raising of the sheep in Leviticus 23, 9 through 14 marks the beginning of the barley harvest in about April, and the ceremony of the loaves 7 weeks later in verses 15 through 17 marks the wheat harvest.
Con, and I'll interject right here. So this is commentary from, like brother said, James Dunn and John Rogerson, right? So when you look at Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15 and 16, the KJV is throwing a monkey wrench to brothers, right? They say they look at verse 16 that says, even until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, and they say, hey, that means that you have to count 50 days after the 7th Sabbath. No, that's not what that means, right? And we're going to get into the scripture right after this, but I wanted to highlight even scholars and students of the Bible, even they understand that it is not a 7-week count and then 50 days. No, it is a 50-day count that is within a 7-week period. And it starts from the moment that you raise the sheaf offering from the day after the first day of unleavened bread. Now go ahead and read Ehrman's Dictionary of the Bible and what he says about the Feast of Weeks or Pentecost.
John, this is the Ehrman Dictionary of the Bible. The third month, the month in which the festival of weeks was observed, became the occasion for making covenants and oaths.
So it's the third month. And the third month lines up perfectly with 50 days, not 100. 100 places you in month 5 and not in month 3. So now let's look at the scripture, because one thing that we are starting to understand is that the KJV, even though it's a great translation, is not without its faults. One of the major faults of the KJV is that the English, we don't speak that same dialect anymore. We don't speak how they spoke when the KJV was first translated. So whenever we see phrases like even until the morrow, that's not how we speak. And it can make it very difficult for you to understand certain passages. So let's look. Tazarab, start from the top left and then go to your right when you read. These are all the different translations in different texts. So we're going to look at comparative texts at specifically verse 16. And we're going to see if this means 100 days. Go ahead.
Khan, this is comparative text. Let's look at the verse. This is Leviticus 23:16 in an NASB 20. You shall count 50 days to the day after the 7th Sabbath. Then you shall present a new grain offering to the Lord. NLT. Keep counting until the day after the 7th Sabbath. 50 days later, then present an offering of new grain to the Lord.
Keep going.
ESV. You shall count 50 days to the day after the 7th Sabbath. Then you shall present a grain offering of new grain to the Lord.
Right. Now look at the NIV. I would say the NIV is the one that knocks it straight out of the park as far as being clear, cut, and dry. Read.
NIV. Count off 50 days up to the day after the 7th Sabbath, and then present an offering of new grain to the Lord.
So it says count off 50 days up to the day. Up to the day after the seventh Sabbath. Read the amp.
You shall count 50 days to the day after the seventh Sabbath. Then ye shall present a new grain offering to the Lord. You count to the day after the seventh number, after Salakia. You count to the day after Sabbath number 7, not past Sabbath number 7.
And that's cut and dry. It is not a you count 50 days or you count 7 Sabbaths and then after that you count 50 days totaling up 100. That's not so. That's not what the scriptures is saying. The scriptures is literally saying you count 50 days up to the day of the seventh Sabbath. The seventh Sabbath is your marker to stop your count. So you should have 50 days within a seven period Sabbath. That's what it's saying. It's not, quote, literally 100 days. When we brought this up to our previous count, right? The first thing they said was, like I mentioned before, how is this going to help us in debate? That's the very first thing. The very, very, very first thing they asked. The second thing they asked was, so you're telling me that we're wrong about Pentecost? But it literally says 100 days. Chat, we done read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the KJV makes 6 verses, 6 different translations. Which one of those literally says it's 100 days? None of them. None of the translations say that it's 100 days. The literal part, no, it's not that. The Pentecost is literally 50 days, right? Now let's look at some historical documents that say the exact same thing. And before I say this, before we go to it, let's hear how credible that these next sources are, right? Let me play this real quick.
To hate Gentiles. Let's take a look at real Hebrew Israelites from antiquity. Philo of Alexandria and Flavius Josephus stand as 2 of the most important first-century Hebrew Israelite witnesses to the world of the Torah, the temple, and everyday Jewish life under Roman rule. Modern historians, classicists, and biblical scholars consistently rely on their writings to reconstruct how Jews in the time of Christ understood their laws, customs, identity, and relationship with the nations around them. Living within that culture, not centuries removed from it, they had firsthand knowledge of how the commandments were practiced and how Israel interacted with non-Israel.
So, hey, man, they have firsthand knowledge, right? one of the most the best historical Israelite documents, right? And this is from the guy who said that, number one, Pentecost is literally 100 days, and that number 2, we can't use Second Temple sources. When I brought all this out, a lot of the sources that you see here, such as Josephus and Philo, right, and some of the other sources we'll get into, they're quote unquote Second Temple, which at the time we couldn't use. At the time, it was very odd as Second Temple. We're not really going to look at it. But here you see in the video, when it comes to certain new doctrines, now it's okay to grab quote unquote Second Temple sources. So let's look at one. Let's look at what Josephus states about Pentecost. Right? Go ahead, Matar. You can just read the highlighted portions. If anybody wants to read the full sources or anything like that, I will include this. All sources will be in the description. They already are on the video, but we'll include this one here so you can read everything as well as the slides as well. So for right now, for time purposes, because we got a lot of slides, we're only going to pretty much read the meat and potatoes of these sources. So Matar, go ahead and read the highlighted section, please.
Which weeks contain 40 and 9 days on the 50th day, which is Pentecost.
On the what day?
50th day.
So I guess we see Josephus agreeing that it's 50 days. That's a big Hebrew scholar, right?
Big Hebrew scholar. But that's just one source, right? That's just one. Let's get another. What does Philo say about Pentecost? Go ahead, Op.
Gone. Philo states that the day in which, um, I can't read that part. The live is on there. The day in which is offered the sheaf of corn in the fullness of the ears of corn, and the day of Pentecost, which is numbered from the day by 7 portions of 7 days.
That's
The
49.
loaves of the first fruits, since in fact they are the first fruits of the production and crops of eatable grain.
Mm-hmm. So I'll stop you right there. So we have Philo that says the day of Pentecost, which is numbered by 7 portions of 7 days. That's what? That's 49 days. Or what? 7 complete Sabbaths. It's not 100. Keep reading.
Time. The Solomon assembly on the occasion of the festival of the sheaf. This day, the 50th day, is reckoned, making up the sacred number 7 sevens, with the additional of a unit as a seal to the whole. And this festival, being that of the first fruits of the corn, has derived its name of Pentecost from the number of 50.
So 50. Even when you go into the Greek word for Pentecost, it literally means 50. If Pentecost is 100 days, why is it not Pentecost? Why is it Pentecost? Oh, because it's 50 days. Keep reading.
On the feast which takes place on the basis of the number 50 has received the name the Feast of the First Produce.
The Feast of the First Produce. So Pentecost is not 100 days, it's 50 days. Why is that important? Because when you do your count, you have to count 7 Sabbaths, and within those 7 Sabbaths, you have to have 50 days. It's important because as we go along, we have to place this the same way that we count our Sabbaths in Pentecost. It's the same way we have to count our Sabbaths every day. All right. Now there's more sources on this. There's more sources that we have. We even go deep into the Bible, specifically Acts chapter 1 and Acts chapter 2. But that's not the purpose of this video. Again, go watch our Pentecost breakdown if you want more insight and more information on that. All right. So we know the count of Pentecost is 50 days. Now, when do you wave the sheep offering? Because that's the start of your count. The start of your count of Pentecost is the first day that you wave the sheep offering. So go ahead, Matar, read the screen for me.
God, you want me to read the highlight portion?
You can read the whole verse.
God, it's Leviticus chapter 23, verse 10. Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land which I am going to give to you, and you gather yourself its harvest, then you shall bring in the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before the Lord for you to be accepted. On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. The sheaf offering is to be waved on the day after the Sabbath, but different schools of thought have different understandings of this.
Right, and this is kind of where you start getting the calendar difference here. But that the sheaf offering is supposed to be waved on the what? On the day after the Sabbath. The day after the Sabbath is when you start your Pentecost count. Now the question becomes, okay, well, which Sabbath? The Sabbath that it's referring to is the Sabbath that starts the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is what? Day 15th of the month of Abib. So the day after that is day 16. Let's get some sources on that. Go ahead, Matar.
On Nisan, the 14th day of the lunar month, which was called the Passover. The Feast of Unleavened Bread succeeds that of the Passover and falls on the 15th day of the month and continues 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
But the second day of unleavened bread, which is the 16th day of the month, they first partake of the fruits of the earth, for before that day they do not touch them.
So start right
They
there. So we got Josephus literally saying there's so many cuts just in this one passage. But you got Josephus saying that the Passover is day 14, the first day of unleavened bread, which is a Sabbath, is day 15, and then the next day after that is when the sheaf offering is to be waved, i.e., you start your Pentecost count. That's the 16th day of the month of Bib. Keep going.
uh, they offer the first fruits of their barley. They also, at this participation of the first fruits of the earth, sacrifice a lamb as a burnt offering to God.
As a burnt offering, right? So that's one. Let's go to another one. What does Philo say? Read.
There is also a festival on the day of that Paschal feast, which succeeds the first day, and this is named the sheaf. For the sheaf is brought to the altar as a first fruit.
So now we have Philo that says the sheaf offering is waved on the day that succeeds the first day of unleavened bread. Right? Now don't get thrown off when it says Paschal feast, right? 'Cause a lot of times we'll group the two feasts together since they're so close, right? So Philo is literally saying the day that succeeds the first day, so the second day of unleavened bread is whenever you wave the sheaf offering. What day would that be? That would be the 16th of Abib. Let's keep going. And you know, if anybody got any smoke, anything, definitely stay all the way into the end. We definitely gonna talk about it, and I ain't even gonna say smoke. Just a discussion of if you want to talk about things, right? So now let's look at the actual calendar. Okay. Now we already know Pentecost. You have to count 50 days to get to it, and you start your count on the day after the Sabbath, or more specifically, the 16th of Abib. So let's look at it, right? Let's look at the calendar first. Let's look at a Friday, Saturday, Shabbat calendar, right? Like this year. This year, a lot of Friday, Saturday keepers are going to have their Passover on April 1st. Okay, well, if their Passover is on April 1st, and they believe, for those of y'all that don't know, they believe that the first day of Passover and the first day of unleavened bread is one and the same. Okay, fine. Let's go off that logic. If they're one and the same, like we just read and we proved, the next day starts your Pentecost count. Whatever day that you say the first day of unleavened bread is, the next day should be Pentecost count number 1. So on the screen is a visual depiction of the calendar. Everywhere that you see pink, that is a Sabbath. So we have Sabbath 1, Sabbath 2, Sabbath 3, Sabbath 4, Sabbath 5, Sabbath 6, Sabbath 7. We have a problem. We have a problem. May 15th should be the 7th Sabbath on a Friday, Saturday keeper's understanding. If that's the 7th Sabbath, Pentecost should be the day after that. But it's not. Pentecost doesn't come in. Oh, what happened? Somebody touched something?
I think the slides dropped down. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So we have Pentecost on May 21st when it should be on May 16th. Now, one thing I will say about Friday, Saturday keepers, they work around this by putting the first Pentecost count the day after their first Sabbath within a week. That's what they do. And I get why they do that, but that's not what the scriptures say to do, nor do we see that in history. We see that the count of Pentecost starts on the 16th of Abib, not some arbitrary, hey, whatever our Sabbath is, we're going to do it the day after. No, that's not how you count that. So if you count it according to the scriptures and you go off of Friday, Saturday understanding, you will never get Pentecost landing on the 50th day after the 7th Sabbath. That's a problem, which tells me what? That Sabbath, that's not how you keep it. That's not how you do it. It breaks. It completely breaks. Now let's look at another one. Let's look at Genesis. right? And again, right? Again, this is not a bash, right? We're not here to camp bash or anything like that. The only reason why Genesis is being talked to directly because once again, all of this information was brought to these brothers. All of it. All of it was brought to these brothers, and it was simply asked to look at the information, vet it out. Those brothers were only concerned about whether or not you can debate it. Yeah, right here. You got to hear the whole matter, man. You got to hear the whole matter. These brothers didn't do that. These brothers literally said, "How's this going to help us in a debate?" This is why their name is on the screen right now. So we're going to look at their calendar, and we're going to see why it's way bigger than a debate. It's about truth. If you look at Genesis calendar, they have the Passover on March 1st, Feast of Unleavened Bread March the 2nd, which means what? Okay, your Pentecost count should start on count number 1. Pentecost counts on number 1. If we start counting Sabbaths, which is in the pink, you have the first Sabbath on March the 9th, the second on March 25th, then April 1st, April 8th, April 23rd, and April 30th. Well, wait a minute. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you get to the 7th Sabbath. There's no Pentecost there. We have a problem. Well, these brothers are under the understanding, like most lunar Sabbaths, that it is 50 days after the 7th Sabbath. Okay, well, let's go off their logic. If it's 50 days after the 7th Sabbath, Sabbath number 7 will be May 7th, right? So now we're at 66 days. The count is 66 days. After that, you are on count 67, and you go all the way down to where their Pentecost is, which is June 14th. That's 104 days. It's not even 100. That's a problem. Not only is it not 100, it's not after a Sabbath. That's a problem. We just read in Leviticus chapter 23 that Pentecost is supposed to be the day after the 7th Sabbath. Even if you say, hey, it's not 50 days, it's supposed to be the day after the Sabbath. They have their Pentecost on a new moon. What we do with that? And this, it more so highlights a lunar Shabbat, right? We have major problems here. Number one, Pentecost being 100 days, it does not land the day after the 7th Sabbath. That's a problem. And an even bigger problem, which my Friday, Saturday brothers point out, hey man, you got weeks that's longer than 6 working days.
Yeah, you got 8 7-day work weeks, my man. Oh, and shout out to the refiners in the chat, man.
Yeah, shout out.
Shalom.
But we got a major problem here, right? If we go off their calendar, right, the weeks that you see in yellow are weeks that have 8 workday weeks. I want all brothers who follow the lunar Shabbat to take a pause and think for a second. You have 8, sometimes 7 and 8 workday weeks. And that to me has been the biggest, I guess you can say, that's the biggest point that a Friday, Saturday keeper has against a lunar Shabbat keeper. You got to explain this.
Yeah, they do got a point with that.
One question I will say too, like, you have all these Friday, Saturday Sabbath keepers. Where have y'all been at with this information? I mean, I'm like, I haven't said that this whole time, but where have you been? Because honestly, pulling up a calendar, I'm not even making this a Genesis thing. You could do this with anybody who's a lunar Sabbath keeper.
Sadly,
you could have been came up with this information. Where have you been at? Yeah, I just want to say that. You continue.
Yeah. So that's the issue here. You look at the summary. You have 8 and 7-day work weeks. The total Sabbaths from Passover all the way to Pentecost is 14. It's not 7. It's 14. And then even the days The days is 104. It's not even 100. If the doctrine is, hey, it's 100 days, you're not following your doctrine. That's a problem. And again, this is not just Genesis. I'm only highlighting Genesis because we told them the information and they said to hell with it. But this is not just Genesis. This is a lot of lunar Shabbat calendars. It's not even an exact 100 days. And then if it's supposed to be 50 days after the seventh Sabbath, it's not even 50 days after the seventh Sabbath. It's 52.
It's a problem.
We have a major problem. That means we're not doing something right on both ends, Friday, Saturday, as well as lunar. So let's look at ours. Let's look at Jeshurun's. This is how we got our Pentecost count. So this year we have Passover on the 30th, right? So this calendar is set up as a lunar calendar going off days, just for a visualization of what we're trying to teach here regarding the new moon and the Sabbath. So on our calendar, we have Passover on the 14th day, like the scriptures say. The 15th day is the first day of unleavened bread, which is also the Sabbath. The day after that, that's count 1. That's when the sheaf offering is weighed. That's whenever we start our Pentecost count.
And I just want brothers to know, you do not start your count until you wave the sheaf offering. So day 16 is the first day you're supposed to count. Just want brothers to understand it, because I know some brothers get lost with that. Because I did. Yep. I did. So I understand.
Yep. So we look at the screen, right? Count 1. That's the 16th day of Abib. Each day has a count under it, but we'll skip to the Sabbaths. You have Sabbath on day 22. You have a Sabbath on day 29.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're supposed to have a Sabbath. And then from there, you just count. You got Sabbath 1, day 22. Sabbath 2, day 29. Sabbath 3, which would be day 8. Sabbath 4, day 15. Sabbath 5, day 22. Sabbath 6, day 29. Sabbath 7, which is day 8. And the very next day is what? That's Pentecost. When you start from Abib 16 all the way down to the third month on day 9, that's 50 days. And it's 7 Sabbaths, just like the scriptures say. But we have one, I wouldn't even say problem, but we have one thing that has to be explained. How does the new moon fit in all that? Because if you add the new moons in that, you don't get 50 days. You don't get 50 days. So what do you have to do? You have to skip the new moon in this count. Or more precisely, you have to do what scientifically is called intercalate, which is just a fancy word for saying you interject time to keep in alignment with the seasons. The same way that you do a leap year. Everybody knows about a leap year. Every 4 years, we have an extra day in February, right? It's the exact same concept. Why do we have these things? To keep our times in alignment. And not only that, I'll just throw a little shocker here. Some months, you don't have just one day of the new moon. You have 2 days of the new moon.
Uh-oh.
Hey, people just were like, what?
2 day new moons?
Don't worry.
Yeah, see, right there. They started the clip right when you said that at first, and then they caught Oz doing this, and the clip, and now the clip is over with. We got all 3. We got all.
Yes. What he says, yeah. Con, brother. Con, his brother said he was held up on even until tomorrow after the 7th Sabbath. That's why in Deuteronomy it only says number 7 weeks. That's exactly why, right? So now we're gonna get kind of into the meat and potatoes of this presentation. All of this was basically just a recap of the Pentecost video. Once again, go watch the Pentecost video on Space City Jeshurun's YouTube page for the full breakdown of Pentecost. This is literally the last 2 slides that you see on the screen. All of this gets explained. So check that out. All right. So quick summary: Feast of First Fruits to Pentecost or Feast of Weeks, Leviticus 23 to 16. You count 50 days from the day after the Sabbath during unleavened bread. Day 1 is the day that you wave the sheaf offering of the first fruits. That's when the barley harvest begins and your count starts. Day 50, which is the Feast of Weeks or Pentecost, that will mark the wheat harvest. It's not 7 weeks plus 50 days, but it's 50 days in total. And this is supported by temple practices and confirmed in Acts chapter 2, as well as primary Israelite sources from antiquity that confirm that Pentecost is to be 50 days and not 100. Again, if you want the full thorough breakdown, go check out that video. All right, and this is what led us to our calendar here today. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Matar, please read the slides on the screen.
First, we must understand how long a lunar month is.
Yeah, because a lot of people, including lunar Shabbat keepers, they don't understand how a lunar month functions. Right? I know I didn't. I know the brothers in my congregation had no clue how a lunar month functioned. We just knew, hey, you're gonna have some months where the Sabbath skips. Don't know why it skips. We just know it skips, and when it skips that month, hey, we have a 7 and 8 workday week. Oh my God. Go ahead.
The synodic period, the time required for a body within the solar system, such as a planet, the moon, or an artificial Earth satellite, to return to the same or approximately the same position relative to the sun as seen by an observer on the Earth. The moon synodic period is the time between successive reoccurrences of the same phase, e.g., between full moon and full moon.
Right. So the synodic period is essentially our month. That's how a lunar month is going to operate. Right. From a new moon to new moon, or even if you wanted to take it from full moon to full moon, it's basically a complete cycle. When the moon makes one complete cycle, it's called a synodic period. And that's very important because this will explain why we have transitional days. Go ahead, Ak.
The lunar year.
Is that too small for you?
Yeah, it's a little bit too small.
All right, hold on. I'll blow it up a tad bit. Salaki, I might have to read this part. So this is from Encyclopedia Britannica, right? I'll start on the left side. That's titled The Lunar Year. So it reads, the month is determined by the moon's passage around the sun. Among primitive societies, the month was determined from the phases. This internal, the synodic month, is known to be 29.53059 days. The synodic month grew to be the basics of the calendar month. The year is the period taken by the Earth to complete an orbit around the sun. The tropical year is defined as the interval between successive passages of the sun through the vernal equinox, i.e., when it crosses the celestial equator late in March, and amounts to 365.242199 mean solar days. So you have two different ways that you can count your calendar. You can either do it off the lunar synodic months, or you can go off the solar tropical year. But each one of those have two different days, or two different amount of days within their given year. I keep reading. It says the tropical year and the synodic months are incommensurable, meaning what? You cannot compare the two. You cannot compare the two. It reads 12 synodic months accounting to 354.36706 days, almost 11 days shorter than the tropical year. To compile any calendar that keeps in step with the moon's phases or with the seasons, it is necessary to insert days at appropriate intervals. Such additions are known as intercalations, In primitive lunar calendars, intercalations were often achieved by taking alternative months of 29 and 30 days. And that's profound, right? It keeps saying in primitive societies, we will be classified as a primitive society straight out of Egypt. We will be classified as this. And not just us, all of the ancient world. Let's look at the ancient calendars. Let's look at some archaeology. This is on the screen to your right. It's a small picture, but you can always look this up on your own if you want to look more in depth to it. This is the Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England, built about 2000 BCE. Let me read that again. Built about 2000 BCE, and additions made at intervals and several centuries later. It is composed of a series of holes, stones, and archways arranged mostly in circles, the outermost rings of holes having 56 marked positions, the inner ones 30 and 29 respectively. Observations were made by lining up holes or stones with the heel stone or one of the other markers and watching for the appearance of the sun or moon against the point of the horizon that lay in the same straight line. The extreme north and south positions on the horizon of the sun, the summer and winter solstices, were particularly noted, while the inner circles with their 29 and 30 marked positions allowed hollow and full 29 or 30-day lunar months to be counted off. So let's pause right there. What is this saying? So one of the ways that people in the ancient world kept track of time was by these type of calendars. And these calendars, when it came to tracking time based off the moon, alternated between 30 days and 29 days. So I know a lot of brothers think that, hey, yeah, the lunar month is just 30 days. No, it's not 30 days. It's 29.5. But you cannot have a half a day. A half a day doesn't exist. So what do you have to do? You have to alternate between 29 days and 30 days when you look at the synodic month of a lunar cycle. This is what we did in the ancient days. I keep reading. It says more than 600 contemporaneous structures. That means more than 600 other structures that are dated around the same time frame. More than 600 contemporaneous structures of an analogous but simpler kind have been discovered in Britain, in Brittany, and elsewhere in Europe and the Americas. Let me ask you this, Oz or Yadi, somebody on stage, who do we say fled to the Americas?
Northern Kingdom.
The Northern Kingdom. And who's a part of Northern Kingdom? That's Issachar, right?
God.
Issachar.
AKA man of the times. I keep reading. It says, it appears then that astronomical observation for calendar purposes was a widespread practice in some temperate countries 3 to 4 millennia ago. Today, a solar calendar is kept in step with the seasons by a fixed rule of intercalations. So even in the calendar that we go off now, you have to intercalate. That's the only way you keep time in step with the seasons. You do it with the solar calendar. You also have to do it with the lunar. So let's look at some keywords. Matar, can you read? Can you see this on the screen?
Khan, I can read that.
All right, Khan, go ahead.
Okay, Khan. It says incommensurable, having no common measure. 1550s from French incommensurable, or directly from the medieval Latin incommensurabilis, from in, not opposite of without. See in, late Latin, commensurabilis, from Latin, com, with together. See com, mensurabilis, measurable. From measure to measure, from Latin, Mensura, a meaning of measurement, to thing to measure by. From mensus, past participle of materi, to measure. From pie, root, mean, to measure. Related incommensurably.
So incommensurable. That's what it says. The solar calendar and the lunar calendar are incommensurable. Meaning what? They're the opposite of measurements. They're opposites. They do not equal. Meaning what? You cannot take a lunar calendar and try to make it fit a solely solar calendar. And you can't take a solar calendar and try to make it fit a lunar calendar. You have to pick one and you have to commit all the way. This is scientific. We haven't even gotten to the Bible yet. Meaning what? You can't sit here and say because lunar Shabbat keepers are keeping their Shabbat based off the moon that we're wrong because you as a Friday, Saturday / solar keeper are keeping it based off the sun. You cannot say that because the two don't equate. Now let's look at another key word that we just read. Go ahead, Art.
Fine. Intercalate, to insert a day into the calendar. 1610s. From Latin, intercalatus, past participle of intercalare, to proclaim the insertion of an intercalary day. From inter, between, calare, to call. An intercalary day, sometimes used in a general sense, to insert between others. 1824. Related, intercalated, intercalating.
Right. So to intercalate is literally you inserting a day into the calendar. Why? To keep your calendar in step with the seasons. That's simple. If you don't, you're going to have Passover in the wintertime. That's not when Passover is supposed to be. So you must intercalate when it comes to the calendar, in any calendar, because no one day is an exact. So how did Israelites handle intercalations when it came to new moon festivals? Right? Go ahead, Art.
Khan, it takes the moon. So like, let me, it takes the moon a little over 27 days to go around us. So the moon needs about 2 extra days to catch up with the sun. And it takes 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and a fraction to go from one new moon to the next. Months alternate between 29 and 30 days. This is from NASA archives.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. And that's from NASA. Even NASA would tell you that, hey, lunar months alternate between 29 and 30 days. Ancient archaeology, ancient calendars from 2000 BC even tells you that a lunar month alternates between 29 and 30 days. So we have to remember that the synodic lunar period of a lunar month is approximately 29 days and 12 hours, right? Keep going. Read the Encyclopedia Biblical entry.
Khan, this is the Encyclopedia Biblica entry. The appearance of the new moon. Inaugural, a new period, a new month, and was festivally observed by the Israelites from ancient times. The mean length of such a month is 29 days, 12 hours. It was impossible that the determination of the month, as long as it rested direct observation only, could arrive at any absolutely uniform result. Months inevitably varied between 29 and 30 days.
Exactly. So even in the ancient world, before we had technology and new moons rested solely on observation, they alternated between 29, 30 days. NASA tells you this. Archaeology tells you this. Now we have Encyclopedia Biblica telling you the exact same thing. But you cannot have a half day on the calendar. So what did our people, the Israelites, do? They had to alternate between 29 and 30 days every single month. Let's read the Encyclopedia Biblica, the origins of the calendar. Go ahead, Matar, read from the top.
Khan. It was the duty of the Sanhedrin, the council of the elders, established after the Second Temple, to observe what the new moon was to be. The exact origin of the calendar is lost to time, but we see after the Neo-Babylonia captivity, some of their calendar influence crossed ours X, the names. Ours, example, the names.
Exactly, right? As you all know, right, after we went into captivity in Babylon, we kind of had to rebuild ourselves as a nation up until the time we got to Christ. So simple things like how are we going to facilitate new moons, right? I mean, the whole Northern Kingdom isn't even here anymore. Things like this had to be set up. The Sanhedrins were set up. The Babylonians, which we'll get to later on, guess what? They had a lunar calendar. Their calendar went off of 39 and 29 days as well. So all of these things, the reason why it was so easy for us to adopt certain things like a calendar was because we both were observing the exact same thing. We were going off the moon. That's why it was easier to say, okay, well, hey, we're just going to take their name. That's what month it is. We've been in captivity for 70 plus years. That's the name, right? Keep on going, Matar.
Origin and development. The origin of the Jewish calendar can no longer be accurately traced. In late Second Temple times, calendrical matters were regulated by the Sanhedrin. The testimony of two witnesses who had observed the new moon was originally required to proclaim a new month.
Right, and the whole thing here that I want to highlight is we had to observe it. When new moons came in, you had to observe. A guy literally had to stand outside, look up in the sky, and proclaim, okay, yes, this is the new moon.
Well, two. You had to have two witnesses. So
yeah, you had to have two witnesses. But both of them rested on their eyes. Right? So what happens if it's cloudy? What happens if you can't see? We'll get in, right? We'll get into it. Go ahead, Matar.
Fine. The Jewish Encyclopedia, 2-day new moon and full month. But what happens if you cannot observe the new moon on day 29? History tells us that the Jews would extend the new moon to account for the extra day, especially if uncertainty was there. The country people and the inhabitants of Babylonia were informed of the beginning of the month by fire signals. These signals could not be carried to the exiles, who, being accordingly left in doubt, celebrated 2 days as the new moon.
They did what?
Celebrated 2 days as the new moon.
Keep reading.
You heard it first.
Owing to the weather, it was frequently impossible to observe the new moon.
So, hey, look, we have history that states that if we could not tell if the new moon came in or not, we would extend the new moon out, which would account for what? Would account for your transitional days. This whole time, your transitional days is literally the intercalations of the lunar month.
Mm-hmm.
And how did our people know that? If it was a point in time or a point of the year where it was one of those days where the new moon skipped, or you had an extra day, or the month was 30 days, we would add a second day as a new moon. But don't worry, there's more. We'll get into that. And yes, before you ask, it is also in the Bible. Keep reading, not.
Lunar months vary from 29 to 30 days, dependent on direct observation of the moon. The Sanhedrin assembled in the early morning of the 30th day Whoever first saw the crescent moon, as soon as the fact was established by witnesses, the word "let it be sanctified" was pronounced, and the day was forthwith observed as new moon.
Mm-hmm.
If, however, direct observation of the moon was rendered impossible by cloudy weather, the 30th day was forthwith reckoned as the last day of the old month, and the new moon observance were held on the following day.
Right. So let's recap. So we just proved that a lunar month is 29 days and a half, and it alternates between 29 days and 30 days. So what happens when day 29 comes and you cannot tell whether or not the new moon is coming in the next day? Oh, okay. You would extend it out. Why? Because a month can have 29 days or a month can have 30 days. That's what we're seeing here. That's what we're seeing in history. If we could not tell by day 29 if a month or if the new moon came in, we would cap that month off as 30 days and we'll say the next month is day one. Read the Jewish Encyclopedia entry, Baba Kashaf.
Time. The fixing of the lengths of the months and the intercalation of months was the prerogative of the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin met on the 29th of each month to await the report of the witnesses. Before the destruction of the temple, the new moon cannot occur before a lapse of 29 and a half days and the 2/3 of an hour. If the moon could not be exactly determined, one month was to have 30 days and the next 29.
And the next 29. And again, we see this in archaeology. We see actual calendars, lunar calendars that alternate between 29 days and 30 days. That is why we have quote unquote transitional days. Because the months are not a finite number of days. It's 29 days and a half. This is why you have that. All right, let's read more on this. All right, so this is a little less authoritative, but it's still good knowledge in the same sense, right? So this is from BibleArchaeology.org, which is basically just a compilation of different scholars and doctors that submit their articles and their pieces, right? So I highlight this to say more so that this is not a new concept or it's not anything that's left field. People who actually study the Bible and study history, they see the exact same thing. Keep going, Matar. Read from the top.
Time. Studies have shown that the new moon started/ended the month, but it was observed not a set in stone day, but could alternate depending on the observation on day 29.
Mm-hmm.
The length of each month. It was by observation of the heavenly bodies that the biblical calendar could be determined. Since observation of the moon's light was key, the so-called conjunction was ignored by the Jews.
It was what?
Ignored by the Jews.
And that's going back to the Pentecost count. Keep going. And why is that? Because if you have a day that has to be observed, what happens if you can't observe it? If it's supposed to be a set in stone day, but you can't even tell when it's coming in, that's a problem. That's why days like the new moon, you can't count in your Pentecost count, because that day could be that month could be 29 days in that month, or it could be 30 days in that month. You literally don't know until the day comes. Keep reading.
Time. In short, the biblical month had 29 or 30 days. If the first visible lunar crescent was seen low in the western sky after the sunset on the 30 days, the previous month was determined to have been 29 days. Otherwise, the previous month was 30 days long by default.
Right. And I want to say this too, right? The sliver is not the new moon. Yeah. The new moon is the dark moon. The sliver tells you it's confirmation that the new moon happened. It's confirmation that closes it out. That lets you know, okay, yeah, we had a new moon today. Right. And matter of fact, I want to show this. It's not a part of the presentation, but we had a brother that was asking about the dark moon, believing that it was that. So I just want to show something real quick, right? So this is Philo. This is Philo of Alexandria. I want to say this is in Special Laws, section 41. And again, I'll add all this to my slides as well, but I want to highlight right here. It says the third, right? And this is talking about all the different feasts that we have or festivals. It says the third is that which comes after the conjunction, which happens on the day of the new moon in each month. Meaning what? The new moon is the conjunction. The conjunction of what? The conjunction of here's Earth, here's the moon, here's the sun. They're lined up. I.e. the dark moon. The first sliver is not the new moon. The first sliver, as the brother would say, the first sliver will be the first day of the week.
Yep.
Day one. That's the sliver. Not the new moon. I just wanted to point that out because again, we had a brother, I want to say on Facebook, that was inquiring about that. Right. So here we are. We see that the lunar months are 29 days and a half, alternate between 29 and 30 days. We see that in archaeology. We see that in history. We know that our people had to observe visibly the new moon each and every single month. If they could not observe it on day one, they would extend it out to have 2 days of the new moon. And again, that is biblical. We'll get to it. Let's look at some archaeology. Go ahead, Matar, if you can read.
Mesopotamian, Sumerian/Babylonian lunar calendars had 29 and 30-day months. Astronomical Babylonia diaries located in the British Museum Collection Database, 331 BC, 322 BC.
Mm-hmm. I might have to read this. Can you see it?
Not very. Hold on, just give me a second. Yeah, I can see it a little bit better.
Okay. You really just read the title and then the highlighted part, and I'm explaining.
God. The title is The Astronomical Diaries and Related Texts from Babylonia by the late Abraham J. Sachs. Each month contains either 29 or 30 days from the Babylonian calendar.
Right. And so basically the guy Abraham Sachs, he basically did a study on the Babylonian tablets of their calendar. And in his study, he confirmed that each month that they had alternated between 29 and 30 days. So that's two pieces of archaeology that confirms that in ancient times and right now, the lunar months, they alternate. It's not a set 30-day every single month. It's not. Science would tell you that. History would tell you that. Archaeology would tell you that. Right? So that is what proves why we have transitional days. Okay, so now the most important question: where is this in the Bible? All right, that's what people say. All that's fine, but where? I need to see it in the scriptures. I need to see it in the scriptures, right? Don't worry, we got you. Go ahead, Matar. Please start from the top.
Time, like it. Moon, H2320. In the Hebrew, is being attributed to as the new moon festival in 1 Samuel 20, showing a 2-day new moon scripture.
Mm-hmm.
In 1 Samuel 20:27, but it came about the next day, the second day of the new moon. John,
But for this one,
scripture?
yeah. For these, read the whole verse.
Okay, come on. But it came about the next day, the second day of the new moon, that David's place was empty again. So Saul said to his son, Jonathan, why has the son of Jesse not come to the meal, either yesterday or today? Verse 34. Then Jonathan got up from the table in the heat of anger and did not eat food on the second day of the new moon
Wow.
because he was worried about David since his father had insulted him.
Now, when I brought this up to Deacon and Hassad, right? Again, the first thing they asked me was how is it going to help us in the debate? I'm gonna continue to bring that out because I found that utterly ridiculous, right? Anybody who's been watching this for the hour that we've been on this, I mean, hey, this is some information, man. Yeah. This is information brothers need to look into. I brought this to these brothers first, and the first thing they asked was, how is this going to help us in the debate? That's the very first thing. So when we got to 1 Samuel chapter 20 and verse 27, the what was told to me was that, well, that's just month, right? The same word for new moon and month. It's the same Hebrew word. I know that. I'm not wet behind the ears in this truth. I fully understand moon and month have the same Hebrew word. Duh. I didn't have to be belittled. It's okay though. So when you look at the Strong's H2320, Brown Drivers Briggs, for 1 Samuel chapter 20 and verse 5, is literally being attributed as what? New moon as religious festival.
Yeah.
As religious festival. Meaning what? When they translated this in the NSAB as the second day of the new moon, that's because that's the agreed upon by scholars. They had a second day new moon. Look at the Hebrew Kadi lexicon. It says the new moon, the day of the new moon, the calends of a lunar month, which was a festival of the ancient Hebrews, 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5, verse 8, and 24.
And the crazy part is when I went into the lexicon and I showed this Hassad literally told me, well, you only got one account of this, so we can't use that. So just basically threw the whole account away. You muted, Yachty.
I was gonna say, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was gonna say is the only reason why that's the case is because the word goy wasn't there.
Yeah, right. it had any goy in here.
So it was.
Hey, it is what it is. If it had any goy in here, it's credible. I just want you to know that.
The goy had to be there for it to be accepted.
Anything about loving the heathen being around, kicking it with us is credible. Same thing Deacon did with Philo and Josephus. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to go there, but I mean, it was too easy. It was too easy, bro. I'm sorry.
You gotta call it out.
Listen. To hell with keeping the Sabbath wrong. To hell with keeping Pentecost wrong. Number one, that doesn't help us in a debate, and number two, is not saving the heathen. So we're not trying to hear it. That's essentially what happened.
It doesn't mean anything. Okay, all right.
That's essentially what happened, right? So now we're here. So let's look at some comparative text, right? Now we just went to the lexicon, but let's look at some comparative text. Matar, but this one you can just read the highlighted. Read the verse, the virgin, and then the highlighted Bible shot.
This is 1 Samuel 20 and 34, the second day of the month.
Wow.
1 Samuel 20 and 34 in the NLT. The second day of the festival. In the NIV. That second day of the feast. CSB. That second day of the new moon. NET. That second day of the new moon.
Right. And then read the footnote again.
Khan, remember the Hebrew H2320 lists moon here as the new moon festival, as well as the context. Jonathan tells David in verse 18 and 19 to hide for 3 days after the new moon festival is over.
And we always go here, but we haven't just stopped and really thought about it, right? David and Jonathan meet, and he says, "What? Hey, tomorrow's the new moon. My father's gonna be expecting to see you, David." David said, "Listen, I'm about to get gone for 3 days. Why is it 3 days and not 2 days if the new moon is one day here in this context?" It literally should have been the next day is new moon. That's day one. Next day is no longer the new moon. I'm in the clear. Day two, hey, Jonathan, what happened? That's not what happened. What happened was the next day was the new moon. Day one, Saul's like, all right, maybe David was with some women. No big deal. Then you had day two, second day of the new moon. Now Saul's like, David's not here again. Jonathan, what's going on? Now I'm getting pissed off. Then you got day three. When all that is done, day three, David comes and said, "Hey man, so what is temperature like? Why did David hide for 3 days and not 2 days if the new moon is only one day here in this context?"
Question need to be answered.
I mean, that's well, we got the answer because it was 2 days. it was 2 days. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, and with the one thing too, can you go back to that real quick? You notice the later the later translations render it correctly about what's actually happening there and what's happening historically. It is because they had over time they had a greater grasp on the manuscripts, and you had certain manuscripts discovered later. So after years of expertise, Hebrew, Greek scholars, they come to the conclusion that it's like how we've been talking about in the beginning of this. Like there's Hebrew Israelites, but Israelites celebrated the new moon for 2 days. They knew that historically, and now looking at the manuscripts and have a greater grasp of it, that's why they rendered it like this. Which is also why you shouldn't just be a King James onlyist.
Yeah.
And also throw out a Miss Veronica for your continued support.
Yeah, that's one thing. The brother Oz and myself, man, we're starting to realize you can't just solely be in the KJV. The ESV is another word for word translation. That's great. The NSAB, the 2020 edition, as well as the 95 edition, those are another word for word translation. That's great. All of those translations, really, really good. Really, really good. Yeah, Khan, yeah, brother, yeah. We already touched on Philo, but this brother in the spirit, Philo already said it. Philo and Josephus.
That's Azan. Right?
Yeah, I know that's Azan. Shout out to the brother Azan and Sons of the Prophets. All right, go ahead, Matar. Keep going.
Khan. The second day of the new moon. This is Encyclopedia Biblica, page 3,402. The new moon can be 2 days. Multiple sources agree that the new moon in 1 Samuel 20 was a 2-day event, making up for the extra day in a 30-day lunar month. The second day of the new moon is what functioned as a transitional day, accounting for the 12 extra hours in a lunar month. The second is on the right. This is the highlighted portion. The second day of the new moon seems also to have been solemnly observed in 1 Samuel 20. I guess it says verse 27 and 34.
Exactly. Right. So it's just pointing out, even the scholars have even come to the conclusion that no, we had 2-day new moons.
It just happens.
We have it. And it makes sense, once again, when you realize that the synoptic month can be either 29 days or 30 days. The months where it's 30 days, that is where the 2-day new moon happens. It accounts for the quote unquote transitional day. Fits like a puzzle. Like an absolute great puzzle. All praises to the Most High.
All praises.
So just to recap, right? The calendar structure, right? Month in circulation days. You have day 29, which is the day that the moon sighting begins. It's the potential end of the month. You have day 30, which is used only if no crescent was seen. It acts as that buffer or that transitional day. And then you have the actual day of the new moon, which is day 1, which marks the start of the month. So neither day 30 nor day 1 is counted in that weekly Sabbath. Ezekiel 46:1. We'll get there. Ancient practices aligns the Sabbaths with days 8, 15, 22nd, and 29 of each month. And we're going to go more into that later in this presentation. So what do we use the new moons for? Or the new moons as intercalational worship days. So the biblical months are 29 days and a half long, and they alternate between 29 and 30 days. The new moon begins months based on the first visible crescent. And Ezekiel 46:1, it reads, the new moon is neither a Sabbath nor a working day. And in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5, 27 and 34, the new moon is observed as a 2-day festival. So transition days, day 30 would be the optional day or the transitional day. And then you'll have day 1, and that resets your weekly count.
So basically what we're finding out is if you was debating somebody that was a Friday, Saturday keeper, and they asked you to show you transitional days, the new moon is the transitional day.
This is it.
This is it.
Show me transitional days in the Bible. 1 Samuel chapter 20.
But how could that help you?
But I'm sorry. How can that help us in a debate?
Yeah, I was wondering. I was wondering that question this whole time.
Lord.
Oh man, how does that help us in a debate? And don't worry, we will address Amos 8. We know, again, we ain't wet behind the ears, none of this. All right, we know. All right. So does this mean we have a double or triple Sabbath at the end and beginning of the month? Because this was another thing that Deacon had a problem with. You know, he started piecing things together, and he was like, "Well, wait a minute." He said, "Oh, so we're gonna have months where we got a double and even a triple Sabbath? If we got a Sabbath on day 29, and then we got a Sabbath on the new moon, but if the new moon is a 2-day event, then we'll have another Sabbath. That's 3 Sabbaths? Oh, hell no. That's exactly what he did.
Exactly.
Didn't look at the presentation, didn't look at my sources. We didn't have any dialogue or conversation about anything. It was just a straight, what? No. Nah, I ain't worrying about it. I'm cooking up this Gentile breakdown.
You know what's funny? I just thought of something that's super ironic. This really kind of does help you win a debate, though, because you can now explain the transitional days.
Yes,
we was trying to bring this, like, hey, bro, we trying to. This is some good evidence right here of helping understand Lunar Shabbat. But
and listen, chat. I was caught so off guard, like it literally was like somebody just sucker punch. I was so unprepared for the response of how does this help us in a debate. So I'm like, I mean, it takes away transitional days. Like we have the answer. We have the answer. If that's what you're worried about, I don't care about that. I care about we've been keeping Pentecost wrong. We've been keeping the last Sabbath of the month wrong. That's what I care about. To hell with a debate, right? And this brother got a good point, right? He says, y'all even notice sometimes when the new moon is occurring, you literally don't see it for 2 days sometimes. Then on the 3rd day, the first waxing light, it shows in the sky. Exactly.
So he's observed this with his own eye.
Exactly. All right. So let's get into it, right? Let's get into the big what? What's going on, right? The new moon is not a Sabbath. Let's get into it. Matar, go ahead and read for me.
Khan, the new moon is not a Sabbath. Here's what we know. The new moon is not a Sabbath, but distinctive. So day 30 and day 1 cannot be a Sabbath. The Sabbath is after 6 working days. The first Sabbath in Exodus 16 on the 22nd day. So 7 days later, after working 6 days, would be the Sabbath on day 29, the day before new moon. Now, Amos 8 makes even more sense. Amos 8 and 5 in the NASB 20, saying, when will the new moon be over, so that we may sell grain and the Sabbath, so that we may open the wheat market, to make the ephah smaller and the shekel bigger, and to cheat with dishonest scales.
Oh, the brother, I believe the brother Noah, he just dropped off. But basically, when you're reading Amos 8 and 5, it's just basically showing you that the Sabbath and the new moon, they're two different days. They're not the same. There you go, dog. Leave back.
I kind of slack. I had to go tend to the baby real quick. But yeah. So looking at Amos 8, it literally says, when will the new moon be over and the Sabbath, so that we may open the wheat market. So it's literally separating the two out. If the new moon is a Sabbath, why doesn't it say just simply, when will the Sabbath be over? That's because they're two different things. Let's get into it. Go ahead, Matar, read.
Con, the new moon is not a Sabbath. The Sabbath after 6 working days, Exodus 20 and 9 and 10, and the NASB 20. For 6 working days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son, or your daughter, or your male slave, or your female slave, or your cattle, or your resident who stays with you.
So the rules of the Sabbath is 6 working days, and then you rest on the Sabbath, right? I want to go back to the previous slide because I want to just emphasize, right? The first Sabbath in Exodus 16 is on day 22. We know this. 7 days later, which would be 6 working days, and then the 7th day, that would be day 29. If the new moon was a Sabbath, then you would have to say that the second Sabbath that we ever kept, ever in the history of Israel, was not 6 working days and then resting on the Sabbath, on the 7th. You would have to say that our second Sabbath that we ever kept, ever, we had 7 working days and then we rested on the 8th. That's not what the scriptures say, man. It's not. Right? So let me go back. Go ahead, Matar.
Con, currently we have a huge problem. The scriptures say we must work 6 days and rest on the 7th, the Sabbath. But every month in the last week of the month, we have 7 and sometimes 8 work day weeks before the new moon Sabbath, due to the intercalation of the lunar cycle. Let's apply this understanding to the first recorded Sabbath in the Bible.
Go ahead.
The first Sabbath in Exodus 16 on the 22nd day, so 7 days later, after the 6 working days, would be the second ever Sabbath, which would be on day 29, the day before the new moon. You would have to infer that Israel had gathered for 7 days the second week of manna falling, which we don't see in scripture.
We don't see that, bro. We don't see it. We don't see it, nor do we see them having a quote unquote double Shabbat. That's not listed in the text. You reading?
The most logical conclusion based off the text and the context is the second Sabbath kept by Israel was on day 29, making the Sabbaths fall on days 8, 15, 22, and 29.
Because that's one thing that was always kind of ambiguous. It's, in our days in Sakari, right? It was always, the Sabbath is day 8, day 15, day 22, and after that, it got kind of shaky.
You'd be like, hey, what about day 29? No.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. No. But don't we have like more working days? It's okay.
Transitional days,
and then we were just like, oh, okay, transitional days, and we went on about our day. No, man, them days are over. Like we said in the beginning of this presentation, we are for truth. We're not here to play a monkey see, monkey do game because my elders told me this. that's what I'm sticking to, and that's no, brothers, no.
The crucible.
Exactly.
We putting it in the crucible, man.
Hey, bro.
Exactly. Right. So let's move on. Go ahead, Matar.
Khan. So how does you got that wrong. So how does the manna work with the new moon alternating between 1 and 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Exodus 16, 22, and 23. Now, on the sixth day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. When all the leaders of the congregation came and told Moses, then he said to them, "This is what the Lord meant. Tomorrow is a Sabbath observance, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake, and boil what you will boil, and all that is left over put aside to be kept until morning." If manna stopped on the Sabbath, how did it fall on the new moon days?
So that was a question Hassad uh brought up, right, to us, right? He was asking about the manna and things like that, and it was a very good point, right? If the new moon is not a Sabbath, but you have a Sabbath the day before the new moon, how does the manna work? Because the manna stopped on the Sabbath. So what happened? Did it keep going? Did it just not fall? Like, how did it work? Right? Well, let's see. Let's read. Go ahead, Matar.
Hey, hold it real quick. Don't want. I think you froze.
I'm froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
you. I think you just froze.
You just froze.
Jeez. Yeah, I hear me.
Just hit. You know how you can hide your camera and then re-show it.
I'm gonna keep reading just and he can.
Yeah, go ahead. Just read while I figure this out.
Khan. Manna was not the only food source. 1. Remember, the new moon is observed, making a difference from all other days, since it is not a set in stone day like the rest. So the sixth day was always in reference to the sixth working day. 2. Manna was not the only food provided by the Most High. Most High. Quail was an alternative. Exodus 16 and verse 8, 13 and 14. And Moses said, "This will happen when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening and bread to the full in the morning. For the Lord hears your grumblings, which you are grumble against him." And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against the Lord. So it came about at evening that the quail came up and covered the camp. And in the morning, there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the layer, yeah, knock that off the screen.
Uh-oh. We got technical difficulties. You talking out? If you talking, you muted.
Yeah.
It's like it. I was gonna say he probably left and came back, and he was in control of the slides.
Yeah.
So when he leaves, the slides leaves.
Yeah.
But there you go.
There he goes. Oh yeah, he's having some bad technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. Boom. There we go.
Okay, yeah. Oh, it took the
Yeah, it took the
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll put it back. 1 second. The lock here.
He said, "Where can I DL this?" Whoa. Hold on, brother.
You mean download? Right? Matter of fact, I think that's wrong.
He could have just.
Alone.
He could have just. My brother could have just spelled that out.
We gonna have.
That's not that bad. That's not that bad. That's not that bad, bro.
We gonna have the slides in the comments.
You put the slides back up there?
Yeah. It's loading. Yeah. Yeah. It's loading. Yeah. Yeah, it's loading. Salakia. Oh, where did Matar? Where did you start reading at?
I was reading the manna and the quail.
Okay, yeah. We gotta bring that out. 1 second.
But like the brother said, yes, if you stop saying that the new moon is the Sabbath, you do destroy Friday Saturday holder. They have no leg to stand on because that's their main argument.
So you can just hit this. Here, I got you. Hold on. If you hover above it, you can hover over the slide thing. You can just get right to where he was at.
Ah, there we go.
Boom. Okay. Go ahead, Matar.
All right. Con. What was that? I'm gonna just start again on the verse. And Moses said, "This will happen when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening, and the bread to the full in the morning. For the Lord hears your grumbling, which you grumble against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against the Lord." So it came about at evening that the quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the layer of dew evaporated, behold, on the surface of the wilderness there was a fine flake-like thing, fine as the frost on the ground.
So traditionally, right? Everybody knows about the manna, and everybody knows about the quail when the Lord first, had quail come on us, and it was by the droves. But people skip over this part in Exodus 16, verses 8, 13, and through 14. It's not just manna that's here; it's also quail. So you have manna in the morning as your breakfast, and then what you have for dinner, the Lord provided quail.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they ate. All right, let's get a precept on that. Read Psalm 78 and 24.
God, this is Psalm 78:24. He rained down manna upon them to eat, and gave them food from heaven.
That's just 16. He rained down manna upon them to eat, and gave them food from the heavens. Keep reading.
Man ate the bread of angels. He sent them food in abundance. He made the east wind blow in the sky, and by his power he directed the south wind. When he rained meat upon them like
When he did what?
dust. Go ahead.
When he did what?
Rained meat.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Even winged fowl like the sand of the seas. He let them fall in the midst of their camp, all around their dwellings.
So the two main sources of food that he gave us was both manna and what? Quail, winged fowls. That's what we were eating in the wilderness. So even if manna did not fall on the day of the new moon, the Most High alternative food source was quail, which we do not see being prohibited on the day of the new moons. We don't see quail being prohibited. All we see the manna being prohibited from falling on the Sabbath, and that's it. Nothing else. So when it came down to the new moon, they still had food to eat. It wasn't like they were just SOL. Go ahead, Matar.
What about Ezekiel 46:1? In the NASB 20, this is what the Lord God says. The gate of the inner courtyard facing east shall be shut for the 6 working days, but it shall be open on the Sabbath day and open on the day of the new moon.
Mm.
The text doesn't say the gates will be only open. The text doesn't say the gates will only be open one day. It says it will be open on the Sabbath and on the new moon. The scriptures are not broken.
They're not broken. It does, again, if the Sabbath and the new moon are one and the same, why do we continuously see them separating the two out? Ezekiel 46:1, the gates are going to be closed for 6 working days. So if you look on the screen, I have a calendar representation. Days just looking at week 1, days 2 through 7, those are 6 working days. They're shut. And then what? You have the Sabbath on day 8. They're open. And then it repeats, rinse and repeats. They're shut for 6 days, open on the Sabbath on day 15. Shut for 6 working days, open on the Sabbath for day 22. Shut for 6 working days, open on the Sabbath on day 29, and open on the day of the new moon, which will be day 30 if it's a 30-day month, and on day 1. They're open, like the scriptures say, but it shall be open on the Sabbath day and open on the day of the new moon. The scriptures are not broken. But once again, we do not see the new moon being called a Sabbath.
Yep. And it doesn't say in this text that the gate can only be open one day.
It doesn't say that. Brothers need to stop saying that. Brothers need to stop saying, so the gate's gonna be open more than one day. Yes, be open on the Sabbath and the new moon. Like the scriptures say.
That's 2 different little days.
That's 2 different little days.
Yeah, it just requires a little bit of reading comprehension. That's all.
It does.
Yeah. Hey, brothers got to start reading more, man.
What they say, just because specific doesn't mean it's exclusive.
Oh my! Oh my goodness!
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh my goodness! You just gotta. Hey, if you didn't catch on that one, you just have to know. You just gotta. You gotta pay attention to what's being said around here.
I'm sorry, man. You know, I'm getting out of here. My bad.
Go ahead, Matar. Oz, you might want to take over real quick. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Fine. What about Amos 8 and 5? Amos 8, verse 4 and 5. Hear this, you who trample the needy, to put an end to the humble of the land, saying, when will the new moon be over, so that we may sell grain and the Sabbath, so that we may open the wheat market, to make the ephah smaller and the shekel bigger, and to cheat with dishonest scales.
So I know for this scripture right here in Amos 8:5, when I was first coming in truth, this is how the new moon was supposed to be proven to be the Sabbath. But when you actually read it in its proper context, the new moon and the Sabbath is being separated here. They're asking, when are both of these days going to be gone so we can get back to selling and being dishonest and cheating our people? All right. So anybody bringing out Amos 8:5 trying to say that, well, the new moon is the Sabbath, that's not what's going on. It's separating the 2 days just like it did in Ezekiel 46 and 1. You got anything else to say, Yadi?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Matar. Let me skip.
It's the same slide here.
Got you. Go ahead.
It's a little small. Let's see.
I got you.
I got it now.
You got it. Okay.
The Hebrew word for new moon festival, H2320, and the Sabbath, H7676, are 2 different words. Nowhere in the Bible is a new moon called the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the lexicons, they are never interchangeable.
So again, even when you look at these words in the Hebrew, they're not the same. They're 2 different words, and they mean 2 different things. H2320 is only talking about the new moon, talking about the new moon festivals, and H7676 is only talking about the Sabbath, but they're never the same.
I'm back. Where are you at?
I was explaining how we can see in the Hebrew that the new moon and the Sabbath are not the same. They're not even the same Hebrew word. So even if you read the text in Amos 8 and 5, those are 2 different words there.
Yeah. You don't see the new moon being referenced as a Sabbath. Like our brother said, it's literally 2 different words. Like I don't know what to say on that. It's literally 2 different words. Right. Let's go on to the next one, because I know people say, well, the new moon is a Shabbaton or Shabbat Awam, right? Even that is 2 different words. Go ahead, Matar, if you can read.
The new moon and the Hebrew and the Sabbaton The Hebrew words for the new moon festival, H2320, and the Sabbaton, H7677, are two different words. Nowhere in the Bible is a new moon called a Sabbaton, expected for, except for the Feast of Trumpets. The lexicons do not attribute Sabbaton, H7677, to any new moon references outside of trumpets.
So again, I know one of the other breakdown was when you go into Leviticus 23 and you went into the word there, it would say Sabbaton. So there somebody would say, "Hey, this is how you know that the new moon is the Sabbath," but it's not. The word Sabbaton, when you go into the lexicon, where is it at? And I don't think he has it up here. But when you go into the lexicon, it literally lists out what Sabbaton is used for, and it literally says only.
That's the middle picture. The middle picture, Strong's H7677.
Oh, 7677. Yeah. So when you look at it here, it's either a weekly Shabbat, a Day of Atonement, sabbatical year, and it says alone a Feast of Trumpets. So it never calls like a new moon that's just like regular, like we see in was it first Samuel 20 with King Saul and them. You didn't even see the word being used there.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, Dawal.
And one thing real quick too. And with those number of things, like how you read earlier, like the weekly Sabbath, the Day of Atonement, sabbatical year, and alone the Feast of Trumpets, that's based off of usages. Mm-hmm. Like you see it used this way. It's not defining it, but it's based off of usages. If that word is meant to be used for a new moon, we would see that in the usages, because according to you, it's used that way. Yeah, but we don't see that. That's a problem.
But we don't see it, and it's the exact same thing with the Sabbath. We don't see it. It's just not there, right? The Hebrew Chaldee lexicon has the Sabbathon or Shabbat Awam H7677 as a great Sabbath, a solemn Sabbath. It's nowhere is it being in reference to the new moon. The closest you'll get is the Feast of Trumpets. But that's a major high holy day, so it makes sense. But that's not every single new moon. So now here's the meat and potatoes. This to me is the biggest, biblical evidence that the new moon is just not the Sabbath. The offerings. Now, Matar, and this is gonna be a lot of reading, brother. So
I got it.
Lord bless your heart, but you're gonna have to read all of it.
From the top to the
bottom. All right, go ahead.
Offerings, Numbers 28, verse 9. Then on the Sabbath day, 2 male lambs, 1 year old, without defect, and 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and its drink offering. 10. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, in addition to the continual burnt offering and its drink offering.
Now, I'm going to stop you right there. The key point, right, is that the offerings that are done on the Sabbath day are in addition to the everyday offerings, the continual offerings. The Levites are supposed to perform a daily sacrifice every single day. And the scriptures are going out of its way to make sure that the Levites know, hey, on the Sabbath day, you not only do this specific sacrifice, but you also still have to do the regular daily sacrifice. It's together. You cannot say, hey, today is the Sabbath day. The only sacrifices we have to do today are the Sabbath sacrifice. No, you have to do the Sabbath sacrifice in addition to the continual burnt offerings. That's one. Now let's look at Numbers 28 and 11 when it comes to the new moon offerings. Read.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 28, verse 11. Then at the beginning of each of your months, you shall present a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 bulls and 1 ram, 7 male lambs, 1 year old without defect. 12, verse 12. And 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering for each bull, and 2/10 of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering. For the 1 ram, Verse 13, and a tenth of the ephah of flour, of fine flour, mixed with oil as a grain offering for each lamb, as a burnt offering of a soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. Verse 14, their drink offering shall be half a hin of wine for a bull, and a third of a hin for the ram, and a fourth of a hin for a lamb. This is the burnt offering of each month throughout the months of the year. Verse 15, and one male goat as a sin offering to the Lord. It shall be offered with its drink offering in addition to the continual burnt offering.
And that's the point. So, number one, the new moon offerings are completely different than the Sabbath. If the new moon is a Sabbath, why aren't the offerings the same? That's one. Then number two, you see, even in the new moons, the Bible or the Lord goes out of his way to make sure you know, hey, not only do you do the offerings for the new moon, but you shall also, in addition, do the continual burnt offerings. The offerings that you offer every single day, you have to do that as well. So what that sets is anytime that two offerings are supposed to be done at the same time, it explicitly says it in the text. We do not see the commandment for you have to give the Sabbath offerings in addition to the new moon offerings, in addition to the continual burnt offerings. It's not there. Why? Because they're not one and the same. They're distinct. The Sabbath and the new moon are distinct from each other. You see that with the offerings. The offerings are different, and you don't do the offerings together. If the Sabbath and the new moon were one and the same, then we should be doing the Sabbath offerings in addition to the new moon offerings. But the scriptures don't say that. Right? So now let's look at a doctoral paper from ministersofnewcovenant.org. Again, these are slightly less authoritative when you look at things like Britannia and things like that, but it highlights that people who have to get their doctoral degree, that has to be reviewed by peers and professors, these are the things that they're researching, and these are the things that they're putting down, right? Go ahead, Matar, read from the top.
It is the ministersnewcovenant.org doctoral paper, page 45. Scholars know about the history of the 2-day new moon and have written about it. But most importantly, it is biblical. Yes. The new moon to be a distinct special day different from the Sabbath and the working days. This last 29th day, Sabbath, would be followed by day 30th and then day 1. These days do not necessarily have to be counted as day 30 and day 1, but rather as a 2-day festival of the new moon. The second day of the new moon seems also to have been solemnly observed in 1 Samuel 20 and 27.
Yep. So this is something scholars have already researched and looked into. How do you account for quote unquote transitional days? Oh, that transitional day is a part of the new moon. Simple. And it's not a Sabbath. It's outside of the Sabbath. It's literally, you have 6 working days, Sabbath, new moon. It doesn't break anything because you don't have any working days in between the Sabbath and the new moon. It goes directly into the new moon, which is a day of worship, a day that our people would go and hear the word of the Lord, see a prophet. Where is that? Our brother posted the scripture. Yep.
There you go.
2 Kings, chapter 4. And little reason, and he said, "Wherefore will you go to him today? It is neither new moon nor a Sabbath." And the context of this is, I believe it was a sister trying to go see the prophet.
Yeah, I believe her son was sick, and she wanted to go see a prophet to see if he could be healed.
And he's saying, "What you doing here? It's not the Sabbath, nor is it the new moon." Why does he say, "What you doing here? It's not the Sabbath"? No, it shows you that both the new moon and the Sabbath were days that we would dedicate to the Lord. We'll go hear the words of the prophet. We'll try to hunt down Isaiah. We'll try to hunt down Samuel to see, okay, let me hear the word of the Lord. We'll go visit the temple like David did with his family to do offerings. Right? That will be the reason why our people didn't buy or sell. Why? Because the markets is closed. That was our custom. Our custom was to have the new moon as a festival day of worship. Everything's closed. Why? Because the shop owner is off giving a sacrifice.
You ever seen Chick-fil-A on a Sunday, how it's just closed? It's the same thing for the new moon. Like if let's say Yadi here was a brother that sells grain, and I'm trying to go get some grain, I wouldn't be able to. He would either be at the temple trying to go hear a prophecy or congregate with his people, turn up and enjoy the festivities.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we have to always realize where there is no law, there is no sin. There is no law in the Torah. And if there is one, brothers, please show me. Because I've
answer this question right here.
Nope, yeah, just answering your question right here. There is no law in the Torah that prohibits you from buying and selling on the new moon. I challenge anybody to find scripture for that. Show me. I want to see thou shalt not do any labor on the first of your months. It's not there. And the Bible makes it explicitly clear anytime you are not to do work. Every single time. Every feast day, every Sabbath, it always tells you explicitly what days are prohibited. The new moon is not one of them. When you look in the Torah, it's just not. We have to get away from this monkey see, monkey do mindset and this truth, man. Go ahead, Matar.
Scholars have come to this understanding before. Sabbaths are on the 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th, followed by the new moon, either 1 or 2. You have 6 working days, and then a 7th day, which falls, and a 7th day Sabbath, which falls on the 8th day of the month and moon. This in turn causes the weekly Sabbaths to always fall on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th days of the moon every month. In months where there are 30 days in length, a 2-day festival of the new moon is kept. 1 Samuel 20:5, 18, and 24 to 34. 7 Sabbaths are to be counted from the morrow after the 15th of Abib, the 16th. We find that these Sabbaths would be the 22nd and 29th of Abib, the 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th of Ziv, and the 8th of Sivan, a total of 7 Sabbaths complete.
Right. And that just goes back, and I'll pull this up. It goes back to our calendar, right? This is why Pentecost is so important, because if you understand what days the Sabbath are, and you understand the synoptic months, that each month alternate between 29 and 30 days, and you understand that a new moon can be 2 days based on whether or not that month is a 30-day month or a 29-day month, Pentecost makes so much sense. This is why I said when you look at the calendar, you cannot include new moon days in your Pentecost count. And if you don't include it, what happens? Wow, you get day 50 ending the day after the 7th Sabbath, exactly like the scripture says.
In the 3rd month.
In the 3rd month, exactly like the scripture says. Which does what? It proves this is correct. It proves it, because you cannot get Pentecost any other type of way. You cannot get Pentecost with day 50 ending the day after the 7th Sabbath correctly any other way. There is no other way you can do it. If you are a Friday, Saturday keeper, the only way you can make it work is if you start your count the day after the Friday Sabbath that falls during your unleavened bread week. And guess what? The scriptures don't say that. History don't agree with that. The further away your Passover is from Friday, the further away you're going to be from Pentecost.
Yep.
And to my lunar Shabbat keepers, I love y'all. I was one of y'all. I still am one of y'all. But that 100-day Pentecost, that's completely wrong. I'm sorry, brothers. I'm sorry, but that's wrong. That's wrong. There's no historical basis on it being 100. There's hella historical basis of it being 50. You read the scriptures and you actually slow down and you kind of like look at comparative text. It doesn't say quote unquote literal 100 days, as Deacon says. It literally says count up to the day after the seventh Sabbath. The only way this works is if the new moon is not a Sabbath and the new moon is observational.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way Pentecost works, which proves to you how you operate the rest of your Sabbaths. Go ahead, Matar. We're pretty much almost done. Just really the last slide. After this is just a summary. So the last point we want to highlight here is the year of Jubilee, right? The year of Jubilee. Go ahead, Ak, read the full verses.
Fine. The year of Jubilee functions the same way. In Leviticus 25, verse 8, you are also to count off 7 Sabbaths of years for yourself, 7 times 7 years, so that you have the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years, that is 49 years. Verse 10. So you shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim a release throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you, and each of you shall return to his own property, and each of you shall return to his family. Verse 11. You shall have the 50th year as a jubilee. You shall not sow nor harvest its aftergrowth, nor gather grapes from the undertrimmed vines. This would put the land Sabbath on year 49, the year of Jubilee on year 50, just like there is a Sabbath on day 49 and first fruits on day 50. This also has a land Sabbath on year 29, just like there is a Sabbath on day 29.
So it functions the same way, right? So if you tell me that there is not a Sabbath on day 29, then that means there's not a land Sabbath on year 29. If you tell me that Pentecost is 100 days, then that means that Jubilee is 100 years and not 50.
Yep.
It functions the exact same way, right? So this will be the lunar calendar, right? On the screen. You literally have the first of your months is day 1, and then 7 days after that, you have your first Sabbath. 7 days after that, you have your second Sabbath. 7 days after that, you have your third Sabbath. And then 7 days after that, you have your last and final Sabbath of the month, which is day 29. And then you immediately have your new moon. Depending on the month. See, now we have technology. We don't need a brother to go outside and stare at the moon for 2 days. No, we don't have to do that. Right? We have technology now. Technology that can actually tell us what day the new moon is going to be. So we automatically know if a month is going to be 29 days or if a month's going to be 30 days. If it's 30 days, that 30th day is an intercalary day. It's a day that has to be inserted to keep in step with the seasons. And then you have your new moon as the first day of the month. 7 days after that, Sabbath. So to answer your question, brother, I know you asked, but specifically the new moon isn't a Sabbath, but the new moon does start the new month and is a worship day. That is correct. Because 7 days after the new moon, that gives you a Sabbath.
He got it though. He got it.
Got it. You got it.
Another brother asked, wait, can you work on a new moon? I mean, brother, there is no like we said before, there's nothing in the Torah that prohibits you from working on the new moon. That is strictly just something that we did as tradition in our land when we had our sovereignty and we could do what we want. That's just what we did on the new moons. We just have to test.
So yeah, because you controlled your servile work.
yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we gotta, like, when we're reading the text, when we're reading the scriptures, we gotta think like Israelites of that time period where they're not, like, they have sovereignty, like how Oz said, right? Your servile work is you going out and tending to your fields that brings in crops for yourself. So you don't got to worry about asking a white man for the Sabbath off because you can just take the Sabbath off. Or the new moon, I don't have to ask the white man to take the new moon. I'm just gonna go celebrate it, right?
Yeah. One analogy I tell my congregation, and it's so funny. In Babylon, we hate the first of the month. that's rent due.
It's rent due.
Captivity.
Rent due. Captivity. In our land, we love the first of the month was a national holiday. Everybody's off. People are going here to word the Lord. People are going to the temple. People are spending time with family, like what David did in 1 Samuel chapter 20. That's why Saul was so upset, because David missed court. He missed court. Now, where in the scriptures does it say that the rulers of Israel has to have court? And they have to be in attendance. It's not there, but why is that? That was our culture. That's why Saul was so pissed off. It wasn't because David broke a law that he sinned. It was because David was going against culture. Well, hey, brother, you can disagree. I just want to know, where is that in scripture?
Yeah, if you disagree, you're gonna have to now show where in the law does it prohibit you from doing it.
Con, right? So I mean, and that's kind of what I this is what I wanted with the brothers at Genesis. I wanted a discussion. I wanted brothers to talk about the biggest elephant in the room, which is we have 7 to 8 workday weeks. So this is what I want. I want discussions, man, and that's why I say, and I get it, right? You've been in it for brothers who've especially been in the truth for years and years. When you hear, hey, you can't work on a new moon, and then a brother say, well, if you wanted to, you're not sinning, you're not breaking the law. It's striking. But that's why I asked, well, where is it in the text that you cannot?
Oh, he was saying working more than 6 days. Well, that's why we said the new moon is just there to set your month. So it's really like not even really, technically it's not counted as a day. We just use it to get our calendar on track and to make sure we're in a line for our Sabbath. So you wouldn't be working more than 6 days. Well, all I'm telling you, brother, is if it was the new moon and you did work, you didn't sin. That's all I'm telling you, brother.
Yep. So let's recap. So lunar Sabbath model, the Sabbath falls on the 8th, the 15th, 22nd, and the 29th day. Exodus 16, verse 22 and 30, the Sabbath fell on the 22nd day. Leviticus 23, verse 6 through 7. Exodus 12, verse 16. We show that the 15th day is a holy convocation, and the pattern implies weekly Sabbath cycle resets after each new moon. The total documented Sabbaths in the Bible in this pattern is at least 7. 3 that are explicit, 4 that are inferred, and even scholars agree on this. So, and here's all the sources. Like I said, I'm gonna put in the description, and brothers can read and go through it as well. Definitely would love some discussions. Definitely would love to talk about it, man. Definitely would love to talk about it. So that concludes the slide. That's really it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you want to do this, Yadi. If brothers want to come on stage and ask questions or what they want to do.
Hey man, it's real live, man. I'm rocking and rolling.
What you want to do? If you still on, I gotta head out because I got family to go see.
I mean, I got 10 more. I really got 15 more minutes. I'm already past my bedtime as it is.
We got any questions or anybody want to come up and talk or ask? Let's just do it like that. It looks like we got about 10, 15 minutes. Let's see, we gotta get it right.
Well, let me say this real quick for everybody in the chat. If you feel like this was edifying, if you feel like this moved you in a certain way, feel free to donate to the camp. We're at Space City Brews on Cash App.
That's right.
Please donate. It helps us bring the word out to people in other cities that may not have a camp or may not have this understanding. So help us out so that we can help the nation.
Yeah. But yeah, for anybody out there,
Brother, we did address Amos 8 and 5. You just gotta rewind. The short answer is it's two different Hebrew words, and it was more so out of our autonomy and tradition that we didn't work on the new moons.
so yeah, not working on new moon is tradition. It's just tradition because they're transitional days. We just use them to get back on track so we can get to counting our work days. It's gonna be, and I understand that's a little bit hard to understand because we're in America, so you can't really picture it. But yeah.
Brother asks, he said, do you think when we were in captivity, you worked on a new moon, Roman captivity, etc.? I'll say, yeah. There's nothing new under the sun. Just like we slaving away from the white man now, we were slaving away from the white man then.
It's a brother that want the link. He want to ask a question.
Hold on, let me put it in there.
Yeah. Make sure you put that banner in before you.
Yeah, before bro come up here and.
Hold on. We got some freaks. Yeah, we got some freaks, man. All right, brother, I'm about to put the link. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, y'all click the link, come up, ask questions. Even if you got smoke, come on up here. It is no love lost. My brother Dawala been wanting to talk about this. Okay, but hey, shalom to y'all brothers, man. I'm finna head out. I got family go see my cousin's weddings tomorrow, so we about to head out and go to dinner, and about to congregate with my peoples.
Shalom. Be safe out there, man.
Shalom.
Yeah, I'm gonna dip out too. Y'all be safe. Salute to all the brothers in the chat. The water for joining up the live. Hopefully everybody was edified. All right, y'all. Shalom.
Yeah. Also remember, I got 10 minutes.
Yeah. We out at 10. We out at 10.
Shalom, y'all can hear me?
Yo, shalom, brother.
Shalom. So I don't have no smoke. I really just want to understand what y'all are saying. I did come in late, so this is just for understanding, no smoke. So, where I'm confused at, I think I heard you say that, like the way Deacon got his calendar set up, that you're gonna have some weeks you're working 8 days, and the scriptures telling us we can only work 6 days, right? That's kind of like contention you had. Okay, so now, right, and the whole lunar Sabbath thing, sometimes it gets confusing around that 29th day in the new moon. So I'm gonna try to say this the best I can because I still get confused, you feel me, in a way. So follow me, right? The Sabbath hits on the 29th, and then let's say the new moon lasts 2 days, it lasts the 30th and the 31st. And then the day after the new moon is the first day of the month. If you don't work from the 30th up until the 8th day of the month, you're working way past 6 days. But isn't that what you have a problem with what Deacon says?
So, well, one, I don't know if you caught the very beginning. We went over the synoptic months. So the months don't have 31 days. That's a solar month. The lunar months alternate between 29 and 30 days, right? So if a new moon was 2 days, you would have the new moon on day 30, and then you have the new moon on day 1. Now, the reason why it's not the same is because, as we explained, in our land, there would be no working on the new moon because nobody would be open. The shops are closed. People are going out to give their sacrifices and hear the word of the Lord. So the day after the new moon, day 2, you have your 6 working days and then your 7, like clockwork.
Can you
Now,
show
the
that
only
on the calendar,
yeah,
please?
yeah, I'll put that up. The only reason why that seems one and the same is because yeah, you might have to mute. We're in captivity, right? So whenever you look at it as, well, if a brother want to go work, ain't that the same? It's not necessarily the same because in our land we wouldn't be out. We wouldn't be out working. What we're saying, I'm trying to find the calendar. What we're saying is there's no sin there because you don't see that in the scriptures. Where is it? Here's
Okay,
our.
Kanye, I get that part. I get that part. I get the
So this
part that Salaki, I get the part that that it's like a custom. I read John Gill. I don't know if y'all know John Gill, but he talks about how in a commentary in First Samuel chapter 20 how it's just custom.
mhm.
So I get that part.
Yeah. So here's the calendar. What did you want to talk
So
about?
so you disregard the 31st day because you feel me. You're right. There's 29th and 30. So disregard the first day. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, actually, I think I get what you're saying. You're saying if you if you don't work on that day is cool, but if you do work on that day is cool, right?
Only because we're in captivity.
Okay, because the custom would be in the land, everything will be closed as just customary.
Correct.
But this is where I'm getting confused. I think I heard you say this. So I'm gonna say I think, because I don't want to say it for sure. I might be wrong. I think I heard you say that you have a problem with how Deacon breaks down his calendar because there's multiple days above the 6 days that you're supposed to work. But it seems like on this it's the same thing. That's kind of like what's, you feel me, throwing me off.
Yeah. So, well, there's multiple issues I have with his calendar, right? I'll stick to or the first one of your point of the quote unquote multiple working days. Uh, when you look at where we are now in captivity, right? On a new moon, a brother might have to work. It is what it is. It's captivity. If we was in our land, we would not be working on the new moon because there would be no work to do. That's the difference. Now, if we go and we look at Genesis calendar, for example, the weeks that are highlighted in yellow, right? You got, I'm looking at the week of June 6th. So you got June 6th as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you have that 7th day, June 12th, is not a new moon, it's not anything. This is just a random day in the month. If we were in our land, the doctrine would be, hey, we can work on that day because it's it's a working day. You're working on day 7, June 12th, and then you're working on day 8, June 13th. It's not a new moon. It's not anything. It's actually a regular work day according to the current lunar Sabbath understanding. That's the problem. That's the issue. As far as just regular Sabbath goes, now there's way more issues that's wrong with their calendar. It's on the screen here, but the main issue here that even Friday Saturday keepers point out is that we have 7 and 8 workday official workday weeks.
Okay, Khan, can you, if you can you go to your calendar that you posted earlier, like it's like the last slide?
This week,
Nah, the last one. It was like how you said it should be. It's like one of your last slides.
1 second. It would have to be. Come on, this one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, right.
Okay.
So basically, because I'm really just trying to understand. You feel me? Like this is not even trying to me like be weird or anything. I really just want to understand, right? If you
It's good.
can, if you can, right? Let me see. I'm trying to see how I want to ask this question. On the last week, so like from the 22nd to the 29th,
Mm-hmm.
could you basically, how do I want to say this? Could you basically do an example of a 2 day new moon, but then continue? continue like counting as if the week continued, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like for the first Sabbath of the month after the last Sabbath of the last month.
So I'm trying to follow you, right? So what's on the screen here is a 30-day month. Okay. The last Sabbath of the month will be Sabbath or day 29.
Yeah.
You see that at the bottom?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
So on a 30-day month, you'll have a new moon or what we'll deem as observation day, right? On day 30. And then the actual, hey, it's the new moon, it's the start of the month on day 1.
Uh-huh. And that
Right?
would be like basically if a box was there, that would be right under the 24th day. Day 1 right there.
Right. What do you mean right after the 24th day?
You see the 24th day, the 22nd, 23rd,
Oh yeah,
24th.
okay, yeah.
I'm saying right under that would be the day 1 of that month.
Yes. Yeah.
So
If
then you
you
would
if you was to arrange it in that fashion.
okay, and then you would count 6 days, right? And then on the 7th day will be the Sabbath, correct?
If you count 6 days from day number 1 and then add the 7th day for the Sabbath, that 7th day would be day 8.
Okay. I feel like I'm about to ask the same question I already asked. So just this is for me to clarify, right? So even though, for example, if it was um a 2-day new moon that month and you're working an extra day, even though it's captivity, like I don't even know how I want to ask this. This is like confusing me.
So here's the best way, right? Take captivity off the table because
Uh-huh.
captivity, we have no control over that. We're in captivity. Hell, most lunar Sabbath keepers, we have to work on the actual Shabbat. It is what it is, right? We're in our land. Put yourself in First Samuel chapter 20, right? If we are in First Samuel chapter 20, we're not doing any work on the new moon. Why? Because that's not our custom. That's not what we do as a people.
I
It's
get
not.
that
It's not
completely. I
because
get that completely.
it's not because there's a prohibition on it. That's why we're saying like you could work on it because when you see
All right, so
The
I guess I
Sabbath
see
has a
what you're
prohibition.
saying. I guess I see what you're saying. The only problem I'm having is kind of like, and this isn't. It's not even really has to do anything with Deacon. It's just the fact that you said you kind of had a problem with that. There's more than 6 days that you would be working based off his calendar, but it's on this calendar too. It'd be more than 6 days. So that's where I'm confused. Like, why is that a problem if on that calendar you're working more than 6 days, but on this calendar you could do the same thing?
So here's
You
the problem.
you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And here's the problem. That's why I said your mindset has to be away from captivity. We're talking about we're in our land. We're in the times of King Saul, First Samuel chapter 20. What's on the screen, imagine this is your standard lunar Sabbath calendar, right? So on day 29, take away Sabbath. That take away Sabbath, that's a regular working day. And now the day 30, take away new moon. That's a regular working day. And now you have day 1 as a Sabbath, right? If you do that as we're back in our land, then what you're essentially saying is day 23, day 24, day 25, day 26, day 27, day 28, and now day 29 and day 30 are legitimate working days in our land. That's a problem because now you would have a legit 7 or 8 workday weeks every single month in our culture, and you don't see that.
Okay, and you only see something like that if it's like a custom of us. We're closing because we're just closing,
No,
like as a custom.
we're closing because it's the reset of the month. We're closing because there's sacrifices that have to be done. We're
And
closing because we're going to see the word of the Lord.
okay, and that closing time, it's not accounted for the working days. It's a separate day.
Correct. It's the day of the new moon, the first of your months.
and it's not counted towards the week. It only the working days week start being counted for once that first day is established.
Once the new moon is over, yes.
Okay, I word. Okay, I see exactly where y'all coming from. All right, word. I'm gonna go back through your slides. Like I said, I came in late, so I'm gonna go back from the beginning after this is over, and you feel me? Try to hear y'all out.
Also,
Appreciate
John,
y'all doing this.
I wanted to say something too, real quick, John. You hear me?
Shalom.
Can you hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I was gonna say, like, if he's still watching, it's not even really just a Genesis or Deacon thing. Anybody keeping the lunar Shabbat as it's been taught, since it's been taught, would be incorrect with that. Like, it's not he kept on saying like, oh, it's just Deacon. Like, it's not just specifically a Deacon or Genesis thing. It's just the lunar Shabbat as it's constructed, like how we would learn it. Like, it doesn't line up with it doesn't line up with history. It doesn't line up with archaeology. It doesn't line up with scholars. Like, it just don't. Yeah. Even the same thing with Pentecost. Like, that 100 days, it just don't. Like, we can say this. We can say, oh, well, they just misunderstood it. But that seems kind of crazy with people who's a little bit closer to before we've had our diaspora. I feel like they're a little bit more qualified to let us know about our culture than somebody in 2026 telling me that means 100 days.
Two of them, two guys.
Yeah.
Not one, two, right?
I mean, just in general though.
Yeah, but to land me back off what you just said, for those who missed the very beginning, it's not this is Deacon calendar. They're wrong. No. It's not that. The only reason why Genesis is being highlighted is because, like I said, every single thing that you have seen on this PowerPoint was brought to the attention of Genesis. It was brought to the attention of both Deacon Akai and Hassad. And the first question that they asked when this information was presented to them was, how is this going to help us win a debate? I lie not. Verily, verily, I tell you the truth, I lie not. That's what they told me. How is this going to help us in a debate? Everything from the Pentecost not being 100 days to us having 2-day new moons, to the Sabbath being on the 29th. They didn't care about any of it. Any of it. So as part of the rebuke, that's the only reason why they are specifically mentioned, because like the brother Yadi said, there's multiple lunar Sabbath camps that have the exact same understanding. It's not just exclusive to Genesis. Genesis is in the line of fire because they know what they taught and what they're teaching is not correct. They know and they don't care.
And it's only about debates. That's why it's only been debates.
And it's only about debates. Exactly. So that's the only reason why they are getting name dropped. No other camp is getting name dropped. no other camp. If you know, you know. But with them, part of their rebuke, because that's absolutely crazy to me, that out of everything that was brought out, all you care about is, can we debate it?
Okay, I'm about to roll that out.
Con, I think that's it. We don't have anybody else here. So let me 1 second, because I'm gonna end out with Poppin' Prophecy by Osgadar. So yeah, with that, man, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to the Most High God Yahweh, and we do so in the name of His begotten Son Yahushua Mashiach. Hopefully, this was edified. Once again, check out the Pentecost lesson on Space City Jeshurun's channel. That lesson flows directly into this one. Yes, we've been keeping Pentecost wrong as well. Pentecost is not 100 days, it's 50 days. So check that out. If you have any questions, contact the brothers at Jeshurun, contact the brothers at the Masada. And Lord willing, man, I hope everyone is safe, especially in these times. And shalom.
Yeah. I like this right here. This a real Osgadar type beat. Yeah. She keeps staring at my tassels cause she like the way they blink. Israelite little baby don't give a damn what you think. No, sir. Just like Solomon, you better listen when I preach. And if you ever reach, I guarantee I'm finna teach. Facts. Don't pop no perks, but I'll be popping prophecy. If you don't keep the law, then you can't get next to me. You can't. Future ruler, baby, yeah, that's my destiny. And I'ma let them hate while the Lord keep blessing me. Facts. Don't pop no perks, but I'll be popping prophecy. If you don't keep the law, then you can't get next to me. You can't. Future ruler, baby, yeah, that's my destiny. And I'ma let them hate while the Lord keep blessing me. And I don't fuck with niggas who don't practice what they preach. Can't do it. Most these niggas fake, man, they really just a leech. And if I ever speak, no, I gotta keep it brief. Wisdom come with time, you don't always gotta speak. Believe that. Don't test this doctrine, boy, you know you can't defeat. Nope. Why you in the kitchen if you can never take the heat? If you want the smoke, you can meet me in the street. The righteous stand bold, while the wicked gon' retreat. If you got some questions, I got the answers that you see. And if I see a Christian like 4X, I'ma tweet. You don't do the work, cause you're soft, you really weak. She be quoting verses, but lil' mama still a freak. She keep staring at my tassels, cause she like the way they blink. Israelite, lil' baby, don't give a damn what you think. Just like Solomon, you better listen when I preach. And if you ever reach, I guarantee I'm finna teach. Don't pop no perks, but I'll be popping prophecy. Yes, if you don't keep the law, then you can't get next to me. Future ruler, baby, yeah, that's my destiny. We up next. And I'ma let them hate while the Lord keep blessing me. Don't pop no perks, but I'll be popping prophecy. Yes, if you don't keep the law, then you can't get next to me. Future ruler, baby, yeah, that's my destiny. We up next. And I'ma let them hate while the Lord keep blessing me.